So Skool just announced that they're going to be releasing a completely updated and overhauled version of their discovery feature on the platform. And I think this is a massive opportunity for all of us community builders. And it's going to be really, really big in 2026, as they've openly said that this is the main focus that they're going to be trying to work on in 2026. They want us as community builders to be getting more members for our groups directly from the platform itself. And with now nearly 25 million users on the platform, it's becoming undeniable that this is a great way to be able to grow your community businesses. Now, I don't necessarily recommend only using Skool as your traffic source. I'm a massive fan of things like YouTube, and I know a lot of other people out there like to use things like Instagram. But as you can see here, and when I speak to other people, including my clients, they generally find that the second biggest traffic source is Skool. And in my case, it's about 30%, I would say, is now coming from the Skool platform. And that goes up and it goes down depending on how active I am in other groups and so on. But there's no denying that we need to start focusing on this. And if Skool themselves has said that they're going to be working on this more and more, and they want to be bringing us more people, then we need to prepare our communities and make sure that we're tapping into this as much as possible, because it means that we're going to be passively getting people coming directly to us. Now, how this is generally broken down currently at the moment in terms of the amount of attention that we get from the Skool platform is that 10% of it is coming from browse. So that's people that are actively just browsing different communities out there and perhaps getting recommended. We've then got 20% from the profile. So this is people going through our direct personal profiles, seeing the communities that we have. So it's massively important that we have those visible in our profiles, and then they click through. And I know many people use this as a strategy to be able to get new members. They go and engage in other communities, and then people obviously check them out, see who they are, and then click through to their particular communities. And generally that's bringing in about 20%. But 70% is actually coming from search, directly from people going into discovery and typing something into the search bar and trying to find people. So not just browsing, but actually typing into the search bar itself. And that means that we really want to be optimizing for search especially. Now, I would say that actually having your community and having your other source of traffic is probably influencing search to a degree. So what I do see is that people are seeing me on YouTube, and then they're coming across and typing into the search my name to see what shows up. So not all of it is necessarily direct, but it does go to show that you really want to be making sure that you are showing up in that search. Because if that's how people are using it, maybe they're watching on a TV and then they're searching for you on their phone, then we really want to make sure that we're geared up towards this. So when we look at the updates that they've talked about releasing, it's going to be that they're going to allow owners to have up to 11 keywords. So that's targeted keywords that you're going to have for your group. A bit like if you were doing it for, say, YouTube and everything else, you can have different tags in your channel, and that way YouTube and the platform itself will be able to look at those a bit and use them in a way to sort of push people towards your content that they think are going to like it. So keywords are going to be the foundation of it. And I think because Skool is less of an algorithm, it's going to have probably a more back to basics way of doing it, which is actually going to be more beneficial to us, because it means that those keywords are probably going to have much greater impact. So I think you really want to be thinking about these keywords moving forward and what they're going to be for your channel. They're going to do search algorithm improvements, which I think is great because right now it's crap. Basically, if you type something in, it never really shows up great results. And even if you type in the name of your community, it seems to show many other things rather than your own community. And sometimes you're 3 or 4 pages down. Whereas if someone's searching for you directly, you should be showing at the top. I mean, that's obviously how search works. You want to get the best search results. So if they improve that, this will be really, really helpful to us. Then trending, they're going to be pushing more to the top. You may have noticed that generally it always seems to be the same communities in Discovery at the top. And it really shouldn't be. It should be the ones that are trending up and down. So that should be changing a lot more, which means if you're up and coming, you might get an extra boost from the platform as well. Ranking is going to be completely rebuilt. It's going to be focusing more on quality, which is something that I really think is going to be fantastic for us, because previously it's been a lot more about engagement. And engagement is good and it's important, but people can gamify engagement and you can fake it. And that means that those people that aren't doing genuine high quality communities, they're probably going to get pushed lower than the people that are just gamifying the system a bit or finding ways around it. So it's going to be more about quality, the quality of the engagement inside and the quality of the overall community rather than the level of engagement that they're getting. So I think that's going to be much better. And then the top and best rankings will be updated. I'm guessing that will sort of be the top 10 communities in each category and how it's searched based on that. I'm not really sure how that's going to work, but I think it's obviously going to be a bit more about the similar way to trending, but if you decide to select the top ones for the different categories. Categories, they're going to be adding more categories moving forward, which means for those of us that are perhaps not 100% in the right niche, but we kind of just got by default moved into something, they're going to be adding more categories in the next couple of months after the next school games, so it doesn't interfere with that, which will then give us greater ability for people to search for us and find us easier based on exactly what it is. So I think as the platform grows, this is going to be really useful. And then discovery will become more visible. At the moment, it's only in that drop down. So it's going to become more easy and more visible on the platform itself, I'm assuming on mobile and on desktop. So that means people were already using it more than they assumed people would. So based on the fact that people are really actively using it now, they're going to make it more obvious and more easy to find. And then how they attribute traffic in terms of source is going to be improved. So again, when I was talking about where the different traffic sources were coming from, and it was a little bit maybe confusing in terms of search because perhaps people were actually coming from YouTube, but then were using the search and then that's getting attributed towards Skool. There's some improvements that need to be made there as well. So those are the things that they're going to be bringing in moving forward. But let's look at the previous rules, because between the new ones and some of the old ones, I think this is going to tell us that what we should be focusing on moving forward to make sure that we're able to optimize the most and get the most boost out of this when it's released in the next few weeks. So previously, you had to make sure that you had a minimum threshold of members, posts, and activity. Basically, your community had to be set up. You had to have had a couple of posts inside, and I think a handful of members to really make it even show up in the Skool Discovery to begin with. I'm guessing that's not really going to change. It also, as far as I know, you're not as actively showing up in Discovery if you're a $9 account, and if you have a $9 account, you're going to have the extra recommended and suggested communities in the side that's going to be marketing the $99 per month communities as well. So we're going to be seeing that, I'm guessing, not change. Then in terms of your discovery rank, groups are ranked by member growth, engagement, and retention. And I think this is where it's been a bit of an issue, because it basically meant that you had to be bringing in new members all of the time. Those people had to be continuously engaging, and then you had to be retaining people and not having high churn. Well, as communities age out, engagement generally drops and people drop off and become less active, so communities naturally become slightly less active. And you can do a lot of things to maintain that activity, but ultimately you're going to go down in the ranks. You're going to really struggle to maintain that momentum long term, because as businesses become more stable, they generally lose a bit of that buzz. So does that mean that we're going to drop down? In the past, it would have, but with the new way where it's more about the quality of the membership, I think that's going to be even more important. But we're still going to have to be making sure that we've got new members coming in, which is why I think it's really important to have another traffic source as your main one, be it YouTube, Instagram, or ads, so that you're actually bringing people in. And I remember Sam mentioning that they want to reward, and they do reward, and whether they continue to do this or not, I don't know, people that actually bring in people externally, not just relying on the Skool platform. Because Skool wants to bring in new users all of the time, so therefore it's in their interest to reward people that are actively bringing in people that have never been to the Skool platform, as that potentially means more users and more customers for their business as well. So I think those are all going to be important, retention and engagement as well. I actually think that maybe we should start removing some of our members. Maybe that's a different video to create, but just like cleaning up an email list, I think we need to start removing the bots more. We need to be starting to remove really, really inactive people that never engage at all and do nothing. Not lurkers so much, but mainly people that come in, have a look and bounce and never never do any activity. I think we need to be removing these people. So although they tried to discourage that, which I'm not entirely sure why, because honestly, my community was much more active when I was culling people. But I think in terms of to keep the health of the community high and engagement a bit higher, I think it's probably good practice to sort of slowly move people out across 2 to 3 months if they're really not, you can't get them to activate, they're not responding, they're not doing anything. But that's, again, a different conversation. And then it boosts in terms of the human loop, making sure that you're showing up and so on. So boosts were the quality of your artwork and your setting up of your about page, interesting niche. I think that's an odd one. How interesting your niche was. Okay, if it's unique, it's probably going to show up more. But do we get punished if our niche is not unique? And then you have to be an active owner. I don't see any of these particularly changing. And then bot fake accounts we have to remove. And spam or low quality engagement. Again, we have to watch what we're doing. So we don't want to be engaging in a negative way. We don't want to be engagement farming inside. So we want to make sure that it's a quality moving forward, quality community. So I can see the way that this is moving forward. It's all about quality now and making sure that the community itself is much better. So quality and making sure it's really clear. So these are generally the old rules. If you're a bad customer support, inactive owner, and so on. So you've got to show up and you've got to have a quality community, basically. So with the new rules, what can we focus on moving forward? What do we need to start changing and setting up now? So I would prep your brand in terms of the name. Is your name something abstract? Does it not match the keywords? Are you making people think too much? Remember, this is like a thumbnail on a YouTube channel or basically on a YouTube feed. When they see your little picture like this and the name and the description, at a glance, does it explain enough what your community is? Now, you still want to have your own branding. That's fine. But if you've got something really weird that doesn't actually match what your community is about, you might get punished. You might struggle. So I would ideally make your community name about what your community does. I would make some of the key words I would have in the profile at the side. And also I would have some of those keywords and have the description in the about page on point as well. So in terms of old school SEO optimization, assuming that what they're going to be doing is not going to be the most advanced algorithm in the world, it means it's probably going to be focusing more on those keywords, and it's probably going to be looking for information on what we do based on our brand and the text that we have as well. So I think it's going to be keywords and obviously these things as well. So make sure you're thinking of your keywords in advance, and then you're updating your information here about your channel so that all you have to do is add your keywords later on in the settings when they add them. And then what I would say that we should be focusing on is, as I said before, is going to be quality. Remove those dead bots, those users and those dead users. So remove the bots and also the sort of dead or really inactive people. Do it in a way that you're not sort of just throwing them out. Speak to them. If you can't get any response, then as you're about to remove them, say, look, I'm going to remove you. You're welcome to come back in future. But for the health of the community, you've not been inactive for a certain period of time, so we're just going to remove you for now. Be kind about it, because obviously you don't want people getting pissed off, but at the same time, we've got to make sure that we're maintaining the health and we're starting to actively prune our communities and moderate. This is a term we used to call moderation. So it's important to do as communities start to age out, especially. Make sure you're showing up. I'm saying community activity is generally always much better, and the health of a community is much better when you show up. You can always get admins in future to help and get them to show up. But the more you guys show up, the more they will show up as well. And then focus on meaningful activity, not just engagement farming. We want to have some fun stuff inside, but we want meaningful engagements, meaningful discussions, meaningful people not just sort of sharing a GIF every time. So if it's only about sort of farming and it's not about real connection, or it's not really about your community, then really think twice to make sure that you are actually driving real connection and giving people a reason to come back. So I think quality as well. So I really think it's all about building that strong foundation for your community, making sure that you're getting the strong roots and the strong foundation and you're keeping the community healthy. And I think that way Skool is going to give you a lot more attention moving forward, and definitely the optimization side as well. Now, as always, if you'd like more help growing your profitable Skool community, I will link to our free group in the video description. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.